Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I think I might name this video something along the lines of XRP will outperform Bitcoin. And why? Well, there's a question posed on Quora, which reads as follows. Will XRP perform better than Bitcoin in 2020? Maybe, I don't technically know for 2020, but over the long haul, I think there's, not financial advice, I want to be clear, but I believe that there's a lot more profit to be had by investing in XRP. That's just my everyday Joe Schmo type of opinion here. Don't buy or sell because I said that. I'm just sharing a personal opinion here as a member of the XRP community. But there's a reason that I continue to buy XRP on a regular basis. So I came across this thanks to at XRP Chance on Twitter. And they tagged me along with a number of others in the XRP community. So first of all, a chance of a lifetime, who again is at XRP Chance. Hope you're listening. Thank you very much for bringing this to my attention. I enjoyed reading through the answer to this question here. And so here's what Chance of a Lifetime wrote. Could I ask if the points in this Quora article have any validity, or is it another case of not enough knowledge from the writer again? And so then this is the Quora piece that was cited there, and with the question again being, will XRP perform better than Bitcoin in 2020? And I will tell you, in reading through this, and I did enjoy reading through it, was the response that I'm going to share with you is written by Mark Helfman, who I was not familiar with, but he's on Twitter here, and he describes himself as top Bitcoin writer on Quora and Medium, usually. Worked for Nancy Pelosi, author of Consensus Land, a cryptocurrency utopia. DM's welcome. Then I just kind of briefly looked at his website, markhelfman.com. And I haven't had a chance to read anything else from him, but I'm probably going to dig in when I have some free time just because I thought it was fun to read through this. But I will tell you before getting into the specifics that in reading through this, and he's, the way that I read this, it seems to me that Mark here was doing his best to offer a genuine perspective on this ecosystem surrounding Ripple and XRP. I think some of the points that he brought up were pretty reasonable. I think that some of the concerns he has are unfounded, but I think that it's coming from a genuine place, and I'm all about diversity of thought, and it's fun to think through this stuff. And it's funny, the last video I put out is about Matty Greenspan. It was fascinating what he wrote today. If you haven't checked that video out, it's worth listening to hear Matty Greenspan's opinion on Ripple and XRP. But I cited that it seemed to me that a lot of the concerns that Matty, in my last video, what he expressed, Matty Greenspan, it was like, it's a lot of concerns that I had when I entered the world of crypto and just started learning about Ripple and XRP, and they're legitimate questions to pose. But it seems to me like the research stops somewhere, because there are legitimate answers that should, at least for me, it made me feel like it's reasonable to invest in XRP once I learn more about it. And I felt kind of the same way in reading through this too. So to answer your question, at XRP Chance, is this a case of not enough knowledge from the writer again? It's not that this guy doesn't have any knowledge, but yeah, I think that if he had some additional pieces of information, his opinion may be different here. So let's go ahead and dig in. But before we do, if you would please delicately tap that like button. It helps for the algorithm, and if you are willing to do that, just know that I really do appreciate it. It definitely helps out the channel. And consider subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel. We just have a killer time here, don't we? All right, so here we go. It may, of course, outperform Bitcoin. Referencing XRP, of course. Anything's possible in crypto, but it's not supposed to. In fact, XRP is not designed to outperform anything. Theoretically, if Ripple gets a lot of business, XRP's price will simply rise from usage of the network. As the volume of transactions rise at any single time, demand for XRP will rise too. Plus, I know, so think about it, he just said that XRP's not designed to outperform. Well, I don't know what you mean by that exactly, but you don't think that it's going to outperform Bitcoin. But then you're also citing in the next sentence here that transactions will increase the demand for XRP. Those two things seem at odds against each other. But anyway, he writes, plus, if banks and businesses use XRP instead of Nostro Vostro accounts, you'll have trillions of dollars worth of capital captured in XRP, forever boosting XRP's price up. Well, the quantity of XRP held by any number of entities is not what gives it its actual price. It just has an open market value, which is based at this point in time almost entirely on speculation. But as far as the trillions of dollars that are in Nostra Vostra accounts getting freed up, absolutely, and that's great for businesses. And then those providers of the liquidity pools, cryptocurrency exchanges, they're happy to have their money tied up in cryptocurrency because, well, let's be real, they're making money on the buying and selling of cryptocurrencies. They get paid to be liquid. It's pretty awesome, right? Their whole business is to be an exchange. So the exchange is going to happen anyway. Why not make buying and selling fees on both sides of each transaction? So it is indeed awesome here. Then he writes, but you're talking about a huge amount of activity getting captured as XRP. Massive. Swift moves 430 transactions worth an average of $135,000 each second between financial institutions, which comes out to $5 trillion each year. That money moves in, out, and around the banking system all the time. Swift simply settles the deal. Actually, it's actually not the case that Swift is settling, though. They provide the payments portion. That's a technical inaccuracy. I know what he's trying to get at. But the settling is actually done outside of that. Anyway, if XRP's network captures this value, in other words, business begins and ends with XRP, i.e. it never leaves the system, you still get only a $5 price for each XRP token. Well, that's a 25 times gain. It's not likely in 2020 or anytime soon. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, where did this $5 figure come from? And the answer is, I have no clue. And I'm not sure if he does either, because he never circles back to explain where he gets this $5 figure in the rest of what he wrote up here. Oh my God, like, as far as the price of XRP, there's no such thing as a price ceiling, and there's also no such thing as a price floor. I've talked about both of these concepts on the channel. Now, there's a limit to what I perceive as a reasonable price for XRP, which I'm not going to talk about right now. But there's nothing mechanically or within the nature of markets that would prevent XRP from reaching a certain price. It's worth whatever humans freaking decide it's worth. And that's all I mean by that. And also, there's no such thing as a price floor, because if people want to panic sell, even when there's real world utility, just because businesses need it to conduct their transactions, if a bunch of speculators, which are what makes the liquidity possible, if they start panicking and the price drops, that's it. There is no such thing as a price floor. Sorry, guys, it'd be neat if there were, because knowing that XRP wouldn't go below a certain price, but that's just not the real world. All right, and so then he continues. Also remember, that's fully diluted XRP, meaning after Ripple releases all of its tokens from its treasury. Fortunately for you, XRP is not fully diluted, not even close. Ripple holds a lot of XRP in escrow with a fixed schedule and terms for releasing new coins. This effectively limits the supply, boosting the price of XRP in circulation. And then he writes, unfortunately for you, Ripple will continue dumping these tokens on the market for at least 3 more years, possibly forever. Well, I guess he didn't know this either, and I've cited this on the channel. It's been appropriate to cite it many times recently, frankly. Ripple has a 30-year distribution plan that they released in 2017, and it doesn't mean it's going to be filed literally to a T, because it depends as far as how much XRP they're selling. It's a percentage of volume. But no, they're thinking decades out, not 3 more years probably. Okay. Then he writes, if this confuses you, here's the bottom line. XRP's price will rise simply from being used by Ripple's customers, regardless of whether anybody else buys it for themselves. That's actually not exactly how this works. This is a common misconception, and I think a lot of people in the XRP community, to be honest, kind of think that this is how it works, but that's actually backwards. The truth is that in order for Ripple customers to be able to utilize XRP as a bridge currency, there have to be people buying and selling it. That's what makes the liquidity. If humans weren't doing that, there would be no opportunity to settle utilizing XRP. That's it. So it's actually completely backward. It's not that customers are using it and then the price of XRP will rise. It's the opposite. It's that XRP has to have a sufficient blend of price versus liquidity, not versus price and liquidity, in order to be utilized. And then he writes, but it has to see a lot of usage, like an incredible amount of usage, way, 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 way more than today. And along the way, you will have to fight the constant stream of XRP tokens coming into the market, causing downward pressure on the price. But again, if he's talking about Ripple, I've beaten that one to death. I mean, I'm actually legitimately tired of talking about it, but it keeps coming up. But again, Ripple's just selling their XRP holdings as a certain percentage of volume. It's not suppressing price in any meaningful way. And then he writes, even if Ripple's blockchain sees enough activity to drive up the price of XRP... Oh, I'm sorry, oh, wait, is that... maybe he did bring up the $5 thing, and I'm sorry, it threw me off for a second. I thought I was covering the wrong part of this. Even if Ripple's blockchain sees enough activity to drive up the price of XRP, you might get $5 per token at best. He still never explains it, though. Surely, speculation and hodling could drive prices higher, as well as any manipulation of the supply by Ripple. I don't even know what he means by manipulation of supply by Ripple. Well, the quantity of XRP held by Ripple is known, okay? And we also know what's escrowed, so beyond that, I don't know what he means. I really don't. He writes, here's the kicker, though. XRP does the same thing every other cryptocurrency does. Now, that's absolutely true. It just does it better. I've talked about that before. Like, for instance, you could utilize Bitcoin for on-demand liquidity. If Ripple wanted to code it in and plug it in, you could absolutely use Bitcoin. But that's a really bad idea because it's slow and it's costly and it uses a ton of energy. Wouldn't really solve the problem. You could technically do it because you can use any cryptocurrency that has self-value, that has an open market value. You could use any cryptocurrency for any purpose. So you just have to watch which ones are being adopted for what cases, and there are reasons that those cryptocurrencies being adopted for specific use cases are being adopted in that way. Then he writes, Ripple, not XRP, provides the value. Now that's wrong. XRP is simply a tool for settling transactions using Ripple services. Valuable, but not necessarily in a way that will send prices to the moon. Well, no, Ripple is one developer building on top of the XRP ledger. And that, along with other developer participation, is the reason I think that people have confidence in XRP. But as far as Ripple providing the value, okay. Like from a technical perspective, I can kind of get down with that. But I think what you meant is something that I disagree with. Because again, Ripple, not XRP, provides the value. XRP is simply a tool for settling transactions using Ripple services. So if you mean it the way that I mean it, which is that you have to watch for the way in which cryptocurrencies are adopted, then I'm on board. I just wasn't completely sure how to read that exact sentence there. Could have meant something else. Then he writes, why would anybody use XRP when they could use USDC, DAI, or JPM coin instead? Well, of course, JPM, for example, JP Morgan coin, that's a walled garden situation, and I'm not going to get into that again in this video, but this is just such a common misconception. People just need to do a little bit more research. But there are all sorts of walled garden coins out there. More will be created, I'm sure, and none of them interoperate. XRP solves that. I'm not going to get into the explanation why in this video, but that's why. So he didn't know that piece either. Then he writes, that's the question and the gamble. Not a gamble I'm going to make. Bitcoin has a lot going for it. XRP does not. Now that one, when I read that literally made me LOL. Okay, I was LOLing here because it's exactly the opposite. Bitcoin has almost nothing going for it, certainly in terms of adoption. XRP is the only cryptocurrency being used in the commercial production of anything the world over. That's it. So I could not disagree more on that. Then he writes, Ripple has a lot going for it, so that situation may change, but I wouldn't bet on it. In a decade, maybe that whole dynamic flips. In 2020, not likely. Then he writes, disclaimer, I hope XRP succeeds and support Ripple's efforts to revolutionize the banking industry. I have no XRP and do not plan to. So I enjoyed reading through this, and I always like hearing other people's perspectives. This is just a situation where I think he was perfectly being an adult about this, and I just have a different opinion than him. But I love to engage in critical thinking, so I hope you enjoy content like this, because for me, that's part of the fun in being a member of the XRP community, is thinking about all the different angles. I really do enjoy that. So, moving on now, here's a tweet from Jeb Jam Raw on Twitter. I sent Bitcoin from Coinbase to coins.ph. 20 minutes later, Bitcoin finally settled. I sent XRP 5 minutes after sending Bitcoin. XRP settled instantly. Coins.ph automatically refreshed my screen, and there was XRP. So, hashtag XRP for life. And then he tagged me. So yeah, I feel your pain, good sir. And shout out to you. Thanks so much for tagging me there. All right. Lastly here, AMB Crypto. Shapeshift CEO addresses crypto maximalism, fights between communities. As the internet emerged, it soon became a fertile ground for unsolicited and tribalistic behavior. With the emergence of blockchain technology and the crypto industry, there has been a rise in the field's own brand of tribalism and maximalism, which, by the way, maximalism is a made-up word, and I know technically all words are made up, right? Humans created them. It's not in the dictionary, but I think one day it will be. I don't know when, but it's really got some staying power in the world of crypto, and then as crypto becomes even more mainstream, I think this thing's going to stick around, and I actually like it. But maximalism, not a real word. While Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies still have a long way to go in terms of becoming a major force in the global economy, the maximalism cult has been damaging for the community as well as for outsiders. Shedding light on the same was Eric Voorhees, CEO of Switzerland-based Shapeshift, who on a podcast said that people need to understand who the real enemy is. Appearing on Bitcoin.com's podcast, Voorhees said, quote, "Back in the early days of Bitcoin, the enemy was pretty clear. It was Bitcoin versus the fiat financial system and the banks and the governments. And that caused a lot of camaraderie within the Bitcoin community." And then the piece continues, "Coin cultism is a real thing, and the blockchain and crypto community is no stranger to it. American entrepreneur Brock Pierce had previously called this phenomenon equivalent to religious fundamentalism, echoing a similar sentiment while talking about ardent supporters jeering a rival coin's followers, where he stated, quote, "As you started getting other coins building out, some of which were very different than Bitcoin, some of which were very similar, some of which were forks of Bitcoin, and basically it became this branching technology with lots of different coins and communities. Some portion of those people started looking at those other coins and communities as the enemy, and that's been really unfortunate to see." No kidding. I'm on board with that conceptually. It's completely silly, but hey, human nature is what it is, I guess. Lord. I tell you what, I am Mr. XRP Bull here. I mean what I'm about to say. I do not view any other cryptocurrency as like an enemy or a threat to XRP or anybody building on top of any other blockchain. I really don't. I would like to have a thriving ecosystem, and I would like for there to be multiple winners in the cryptocurrency space. And it's just, the problem is, when you come at this from for ideological reasons, it's easy to start to feel that way. But who in the XRP community is here for ideological reasons? Seriously. We see an investment opportunity here, all right? And then we made a bunch of friends on Twitter, right? That's pretty much what happened, right? So, anyway. I tell you what, crypto tribalism really grinds my gears. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!